Hello, so it's Sunday. This is going to be a bit of a life update. This week has been very hectic, very chaotic for me. I ended up having a whole situation Wednesday. I decided to just go by myself around, different places, or basically like different, supermarkets that we have, around. We also dropped by some other, some restaurants, some food chains, some drugstores. Basically, to go, I was going to like this mall that we have. It's kind of like if you go straightforwardly, it's like 40 minutes from here, on foot. But I decided to just take a different, route so I could go to these different places. And it was a very delightful day, but I did end up taking clozapine. I had, this is my kind of like my SOS when something's happening. And I took two, and then I drank a little drink, which is like one of like those cocktails, kind of like they come, like in a little plastic bottle. That it's usually like vodka plus some other flavor, some fruit flavor. It was this pink one that I was very tempted by, and it doesn't really have a whole lot of alcohol. It's like 5%, and it's like 250 milliliters. So it's not like a lot, but because I taken the medication, it just really fucked me up. I had a situation where basically I had some amnesia. And most of like this my little detour was pretty chill, and like nothing really happened. It was just me enjoying myself and seeing things that I like. And yesterday we also went to like this new supermarket, and like I always like going to different places, and I don't think like positive that has been coming from me going to all the different supermarkets is that like now I know the price of things. So even when I'm like by myself and I see something that has like a good taste, for coffee's been really expensive lately, but I found it around like $5 cheaper than like what it usually is. Like Thursday when I went to my aunt and my aunt's place, and we did some arts and crafts, and we did go out because we had to buy some stuff because we made this dessert, and I saw coffee, so I kind of like got it. There's also some other things, so it's kind of like it is good. I'm being helpful, around here by knowing the price of things, and when I'm seeing like a good deal. So got some eggs, some fries, some chicken nuggets. They were all with like a good price. But yeah, so I decided to just go out and see like new things. Honestly, like I feel like I've been having like a really good amount of like self-control. Like I haven't bought things like crazy. Like I bought like one thing or another in each supermarket that I went to, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 5 different supermarkets I went Wednesday. So each of them, like I bought like a little something, like between like $3 and like $10. So it, even though like it was kind of like a bunch of items, it didn't, surpass like $30. And like that's a good rate for me to, for me to buy things when I go out. Like if every day I go out, that's all I spend. I'm having a good, having a good day. But basically what happened is that like after I left this Arab, it's kind of like it's an Arab fast food place that we have here. It's called Habibi's, and I finally had like the pistachio sweetheart, I don't know how to say that in English, but and then I had like also a donut, and after that I drank, and then I was initially going to go to the mall, but because I ended up taking because I had 2 hours, and then basically I needed like at least 3 hours for me to get there, and by the mall to have like these other supermarkets, so I could have gone to like 6 different supermarkets. And honestly, like I really like going to supermarkets. It's pretty much the thing I realized that day. And then yesterday, because we didn't really get a whole lot of things, we got some vegetables and fruits that were there, they were in a good price, and like sodas for today, and like it was nothing excessive. But I realized that just going there it was really good for me. I just feel happy. It's kind of like my happy place. Supermarkets, who would have guessed? And as I said, I usually am only like looking for things that I haven't tried before. So usually what that means that every time I go to the supermarket, I buy like one thing, which is kind of like the new thing that they have like that week. And as I said, usually it's something cheap between. It's like, I would say it's like more expensive than $10. Like it is kind of like, although like I've been paying a lot of attention to sauces, and both like the ones that are just flavored and the ones that they're kind of like spicy, but like I'm not really buying any new ones because I still have a bunch of them, and I like having a bunch of different. It's also something I learned this year. I like having a bunch of different sauces, because spicy sauces that I know stuff that I just add directly to my food, so it's spicy, because I should have like one, but I realized that I like having a variety because each of them has like a different flavor, and like they pair up with things like differently. So I have like a bunch of them, and like most of them are kind of small, but I have some ones that I got when we traveled the last time, and they're kind of big. And basically what I learned from this experience is that it's better for me to buy like the smaller ones, because then they end up quickly, more quickly, and I can buy like new ones, because I've been, you know, keeping an eye on, you know, the sauces. And like there's just so much variety, there's so many of them coming out. And also like there's some that like you only find like in specific, you know, supermarkets, specific franchises of supermarkets. So I kind of you know, like I can find some of them anywhere, everywhere. So there's that. Well, yeah, but anyways, basically I had this moment. So like when I left the Arab food franchise, you know, fast food franchise, instead of like going there, I was going to go directly to the list. Honestly, I would have gone to like 7, because there's like the small supermarket, and then I would meet my dad at another supermarket. I mean, to be fair, 3 of like those, they're from like the same brand, but you know, like you still can find different things in different, like in them. Nice, like, you know, different flavors of the same thing, which is nice because I like trying different flavors of the same thing. So, you know, sometimes I'm only going to find like a flavor in a different specific place. But, you know, the point I'm trying to make here is that, so I didn't end up getting there because I ended up taking, honestly, it's kind of crazy because it was kind of like a blur, you know, in my head during the day. Like since then, like I've been gaining some more memories, but it was kind of like a blur. Like when I left there, even like when I was leaving and I was eating my donut, like the last thing I remember clearly was sitting at making the order at the Arab place. I feel bad calling it an Arab place because like it is fast food, so it's kind of like Taco Bell. Like it is Mexican food, but you know, it is really adapted to the fast food style. So I remember that, and I remember sitting down and discarding some of like the trash, and then going to the bathroom because, you know, I got covered in beer in like the supermarket I went there before. I got, you know, showered in beer. Like I was walking here, there's somebody walking here and they were drinking, and then beer all over me. But so yeah, so I remember that. I remember eating, you know, like the pistachio syrup. It was delightful. I will say that the dough was a little stretchy. You know, the dough is completely different from like the dough that I have like usually in the salty syrup. So it looked more like a croissant, honestly. But yeah, so I kind of like, I remember living there, and I have these glimpses of me crossing the streets and like walking, you know, and basically I end up, and this is pretty where things get crazy. I kind of like, I go in the street, like my grandma, you know, my dad's mom, she lives around, you know, like this area, this general area where like the mall and, you know, the supermarkets are. So basically I tried to take a route. Honestly, like it was kind of like a blur. It was almost like I was in this autopilot, but I made good choices, like, you know, route wise. But basically what happened is that, you know, there is like this block that is basically 2 buildings. They are not connected, and you have like all these different stores, you know, on the front. And basically I ended up like on this side, and then my grandma's place is on this side. But when I got here, basically is when like I started getting, you know, crazy, because I had the certainty that my grandma had Alzheimer's. She does not, and that she was not going to remember me. So instead of going to the supermarket, I went to her place, and I got there and I was crying and I was in tears. And then, you know, I told her, basically asking her not to forget me, which, you know, very emotional for me. Like usually like this grandma is not the one I have 2 grandmas, and like I'm attached to both of them, but like she's not the one I'm the most attached to, you know, the one that I feel like I would miss the most. But I was very emotional, and I was saying things. I remember some of the things I was saying, and I was like, that is crazy that I'm saying these things, because right now, like, I don't feel like saying them. You know, for example, I was saying like how I was proud of like her, and I looked up to her for her, like, just, you know, saying things and just being out there and putting her mind out there. And this is something that I usually don't like, because that involves a lot of like false information and just like really bad political, social, religious takes. But like in that moment, I was just like I was crying, and I remember bits of it. At the time, I kind of like didn't, you know, and then she fell. She's been having labyrinthitis. I don't know how to say it, but like the one that you like lose, you have like your balance is kind of like compromised. I remember that. I remember going to her bed. I remember my dad arriving. My dad called me at some point because we were supposed to meet me there, and I was not there. And then he came home, and then I started being the whole like, oh, my life will be better. I wasn't here. And then my mom also came. I should take an Uber because my dad was worried because of like my state that, you know, like I should just take me, just me, that something would happen. So he wanted my mom to be there with me, so nothing would happen. And it's crazy because like this is pretty much where it ended. But you know, then things happened later that day that I also don't fully remember. Like right now, as I said, I have glimpses of everything. So like there's a timeline that I can put things together, but at the time I didn't remember a single thing, and it just felt crazy for me to just, the point I was at to where I ended up going. Well, yeah, and it's kind of crazy. As I said, I took two clothespins, so that doesn't help. And I've had like situations where I took too much clothespin in the past. The ones I remember that just led to me behaving erratically. Like they were accidental. I wasn't really meaning to really have like a little. Because this one that I'm taking, it is like a little pill that you put below your tongue, and it melts, and then you have the effects. But there, I used to have this liquid one that you put some drops, and basically you're supposed to put like 1 or 2 drops, and then you double. But if like you need more, so it's like 4 or 5 drops. But for some reason we thought it was, no, I think it was like 4 or 5 drops, and then you double it, which would be kind of like 9 drops. But I think we thought it was 9 drops, and then we double it. So I had like 18 drops of clozapine, and I was by myself, and so I decided to go to my mom and my grandma who were at the church, which is in that general direction where the mall and the supermarkets are at. It's only it's like half an hour for me to get there. It's like half an hour, 35 minutes. It's only like 5 minutes from there to the mall, between 5 and 10 minutes. But yeah, but the point I'm trying to make here is that, yeah, so that time I fell, I scraped my knee. I still have the scar. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, like I still have the scar from like when I fell. But yeah, so the point is that, so after that, my parents took me home, I laid down. We ended up going later back to my grandma's place because my dad got her glasses accidentally, and she needed her glasses. And also I forgot my earphones there. And like basically I have pictures of us going there, and I was like fully lucid, but like I don't remember. Right now I kind of do. But the point is that it was just, it fucked me up, man. Like it was like not that much, but when you mix with clozapine, like it makes a mess. And I guess like I learned a lesson, which is great for me, but it would be great if I had learned a lesson without the mess that happened. But despite like it becoming messy towards the end of the day, it was actually pretty good for me, like just going out. But what has happened since then is that now I can go out unaccompanied. It always happens, like I kind of like build some trust, I get better, and then I go out by myself, and then something happens, then I cannot really go by myself anymore, and then we have to start the process. So yeah, that's kind of the reality of my life. It's been the reality for like a little while now. It's not surprising, and like I understand, of course that part of me feels kind of like bad, because if that little evening afternoon that I had with myself had worked out, I could do more of that, which is kind of like really important for me, because when I'm like normal, I have ADHD, so when I'm like even like a normal, if I'm like manic, then I'm like uncontrollable. I can't stay still, like I can't do that. But like even when I'm normal, I have a lot of energy, and I have to do things. I really hate being bored or not having anything to do. It gets me so restless and so feeling like very oppressed, basically, like very constrained. I have nothing to do. So if I could just go out by myself, it means that I could just go around on walks and just do my thing. But like that is kind of like not happening right now. But I still can go with my mom. But like my mom is a very active person. She has great health, but she is 57, so she's almost an elder, a senior. I think like 60 plus. So she walks a lot. We walk a lot, but I can still walk more than her. So she needs her little breaks here and there. And also like if she walks too much, she pushes herself too much, then her feet start hurting, or her knees. She has knee issues, and yeah, so there are limitations. And also like I want to go out basically every day, not just go out, like just I like seeing things. I feel like when I'm depressed, like I don't want to move, but when I'm kind of like a little bit more manic, which is something I'm gonna get you, is that I feel like, am I talking too loudly? It's past 8 a.m. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little like lower, but if it is I lost my train of thought. Basically what I was trying to say is that like I crave being outside. I feel like I'm getting crossing the threshold to be a little manic. I think that Wednesday I was a little manic. That's why I wanted to go out and I wanted to try so many things. And why even because I can't drink, and I did drink, which is like I feel like that speaks to me being a little manic, because usually I have good self-control with that. There are a lot of things that like I don't have great self-control, but like drinking is one of the ones that like I really do follow through, because it has had really bad effects on my mental health in the past. So I know, I think I was feeling kind of like at the top of the world, and I decided to just take it a step further, and everything that happened. But yeah, so Wednesday was kind of like an anomaly, but then we have Thursday where I went to my aunt's place and we did things, and it was great. We also went out, so like me spending my energy, which as I said that I really need, because yeah, like I feel restless. Once yesterday we went, Saturday, we went out with my dad, my mom, and the guy, a contractor. We're gonna fix some of the electrical issues that we have here, so we had to go and buy the things, the supplies, the tools, and everything for that to happen. It's going to start Monday. And we went to like this place where they sell all these things, and I was exploring, but the store is only like big enough. So I got to the point where I had explored everything, and I was feeling very constrained. I started touching things, and then without told me like not to touch things, and I felt so oppressed. Like not that they were oppressing me, but like I really, I like touching things, and like there was something about it telling me like not to touch them that made me, like start almost like, like almost a business, like a business, like a withdrawal. Was like a withdrawal. But yeah, so yesterday also my restlessness and like the amount of like I was requiring of kind of like stimuli, I kind of like is leading us to think that I might be cycling. I might be getting to mania, and right now it's just euphoria basically and a little irritability. We haven't crossed the anger territory yet. Like that happens when like the more manic I get, the angrier I get. Also, like I got a cut on my mouth here. I have no idea how I got it, but whenever I do something like I feel it. But yeah, so I might be a little getting to manic territory. I've been using, the clozapine that I used Wednesday. It was not because I was, depressed, or feeling anything. It was because I was, drew up here. And I was having some, because like you can have like very negative thoughts when you're down here or you're up here. Just like when you're up here, they're like much more accelerated. So like the likelihood that you're going to do something, permanent, it is higher, because it's just like all these thoughts happening. It's not just the thoughts, like the ratio of like thinking to action is pretty much, it's kind of like a circle, in the Venn diagram, because I just think and I do, and that is a problem. But yeah, oh yeah, I was talking about Wednesday. I had this kind of like weird, because I had all these little certainties. For example, I had that my grandma has Alzheimer's. Also, I got that my grandpa, he really called me to be there. Like my grandma's place is here, but like, so the entrance to this building, so I was in the entrance to this building, and then some old ladies, they kind of like was talking to me, and I was like, my grandpa asked me to be here, and like he did not contact me at all, but I had certainty that he did. And also something else that came to my mind when I was like sending a message to one of my friends is that there was a barbecue today, which it is. I didn't know yet, but it was because I thought it was my aunt's birthday, July 20th, but like her birthday is August 12th. I was really certain that it was today, and then they were going to have this barbecue to celebrate her birthday. And also that like I've been sick with migraines, which I have not. I haven't had a migraine. I don't think I might have actually had like a proper migraine, but when I was a kid, I had what they call the beginning to a migraine. So they gave me some exercises for me to do. It was like just like this little piece of paper. We had 3 dots, like they increased in size, and then you kind of like look at the bigger one, then this medium one, and the smaller one, and you kind of like do these various times. And I remember when I started, it got me really nauseous, but like I can kind of like do this at this point, and it doesn't really do that. So I think that mission accomplished. But yeah, it's just like a bunch of like little certainties that I have that come out of nowhere. Thankfully nothing like dangerous, but it's just like I don't know where these ideas come from. Like what even happened that would lead me to think any of those things? Like it's just intrusive thoughts maybe, but like how the fuck did that happen? Something else that also happened from, it was from Thursday to Friday, is that I woke up in the middle of the night, and I vaguely remember that. I remember running to my parents' room, to my mom, because I was feeling like there was something enclosing on me, some presence, and I felt that before. I don't think there's a presence, like I'm not particularly religious. It's more of like a construction of my brain, and then it was kind of like constraining me, and I had to run away. So I remember running away in the middle of the time, but I didn't remember it immediately. It's one of those things that like I don't remember until someone brings it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, like memories start coming back. But yeah, so this week has been a little hectic. I don't remember what we did Friday, but we did do something. The point is that my mental health has been like all over the place, and I mean actually like I've been mostly like up here, which is good at this rate. If it gets any more intense, then like it starts to become a problem. But so far there's been no anger, there's been like no harmful behaviors. I mean like even like the eating compulsion, it hasn't come back. I'm not really eating excessively like I was in the beginning and middle of May. Also like man, like we're in the middle of June, and like I had this episode like in May. Like this is getting closer and closer, because usually like I'm bipolar type 1, which pretty much means that I have manic episodes and depressive episodes. Type 2 you have hypomania, and then depressive episodes. So I've had many. I haven't had like full-on depressive manic episodes since I started taking medication. I still have like this peaks, where like usually one or more symptoms they kind of like appear, but having like everything happening all at once. I was thinking like yesterday about like my internship that I had in 2021, where I was just going around like crazy. Like I was showing like such crazy behavior. It was just me being manic, and like I didn't but I'm kind of like far from there. There are a lot of like of the harmful behaviors that I have that they're not here. So like the eating compulsion is not here, like those like at normal levels. I'm not super angry, and because the thing is not just anger, is that, as I said, like when I'm manic, like the thoughts, they become actions immediately. So like if I'm angry, like that leads to me having aggressive violent behaviors. So like that hasn't happened. So those are usually like the three biggest ones that I kind of like have. Like usually like it's also like spending a lot of money, but like spending a lot of money is usually on food, and I'm spending money on food, but it's not like more than I usually do. So everything's kind of like under control. So far what I have is euphoria and the restlessness and the like the surge of energy, all of those which are manageable. And since the love incident Wednesday, I've kind of like accompanied at all times, so I'm not really worried. Like if something happens, there's someone with me and they can take care of it. Not that I'm like like delegating the taking care of myself to other people, because I mean it's my responsibility to do that. Just sometimes I need a little help, or a little support. Sometimes you don't really need people to necessarily intervene, but like just showing support, kind of like steering you in the right direction. So for example, just be like, yeah, let's not go there, because there's a lot of like things there, a lot of like stimuli that might lead to like certain reactions, certain responses from your system, stuff like that. So the gist of everything I just had is that I seem to be going on a manic, I seem to be getting a little manic, which is better than the depression I was feeling before. Oh yeah, also something that's not happening is the megalomania, which is also like very characteristic. I mean, I'm basically megalomaniac all the time, even when I'm depressed. I mean, less so when I'm depressed, but it's still there. But I haven't really experienced that, so much so that like the fantasy I've been having for all this while, it is no longer. I'm kind of like detached from it. It's not really doing like much for me, and I hope it keeps being the case, because what has happened so far is that like I get a little break and then it comes back. But the only bad thing, as I said, is that now I'm having to find meaning in my life without any of that, and I don't know, like that is kind of like risky, because like when I go to bed, in the evening, I feel lost sometimes, and I feel like the pointlessness of existence, because I'm like, what am I doing this for? When I have like my little daily trios that keep me going, but like they're not they're not reason to exist. They're supporting actors in my existence, but they cannot really do the heavy lifting of like figuring out like the meaning to life and the universe and everything. Thinking about this, thinking about how when I first read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I really wanted a 42 tattoo, and then it kind of like faded away, but like maybe I should get one. I should kind of like, not because I think that is the answer, but I don't know, I feel like sometimes I just want something too complex answer wise, like it doesn't have to be that complicated. And also like that can be something, the days I'm feeling like, what is the point, just for you, man, it's just that. I'm saying this because yesterday I kind of I sent a message to my tattoo place, the first place I go to for like one of like the tattoos I want next, and waiting for them to send me a budget. And I don't know, I was excited because basically the money I usually use to save for the tattoos, like I've been using to buy food. So there's that. If I'm gonna do, I have to start getting much more. I had to start controlling myself better, basically, when it comes to food, because I'm doing a much better job than I used to do in terms of like the amount of things I'm buying, like food wise. But because honestly, like the only thing I spend my money on is food. Like everything else, like I don't know, I'm just thinking, what else do you mind? I mean, I do buy like rings and like earrings from time to time. Like this one is new, but it's $2, you know, like it's $2, and this one was a gift. So you know, like it is like $10 a month. It's not, I'm not cutting on those expenses, but yeah. And it's also like, you know, like I buy things every time I go out, you know. It's just that, you know, it depends on me finding things. As I said, like I like trying new things, so I have like to have new things to try on. So if there's like no new things, I'm not buying anything. But yeah, so I have to cut back on my eating expenses, and I think that the current situation might help me because I have a little stockpile where I get like all my sweets, my chocolates and everything. And like, oh yeah, yesterday I made dessert. I made 3 different types of dessert, which it goes with what I said of me having more energy, because usually I don't cook. Even like putting on makeup, which is something I haven't done in months, I did today. So I just feel like I am like riding on this rise, but like at the rate that we are right now, like this is so doable. The problem is if it gets any higher. But we are already observing, you know, my parents and I, and we now have a doctor. We can, you know, it is from like my health insurance, because I was going to the health center, but the problem is that like we have to, they change every 6 months the doctor, and they have like no vacations, and you know, like mental illness does not take vacations, so that was not great. And then we can kind of like communicate with him, like what do we do when I'm like too manic, because it's all about adjusting your medication. It's all there is to it. Also, I was gonna say, oh yeah, so like for these desserts, I kind of like just used a lot of like the stuff that I had there, and basically because I have like so many things, I think this is kind of like sunk in my head, you know, just like I need to be, because to be fair, the reason I have a lot of like things there is because I did get really lucky with sales, you know. I just go in place after place where they have like really good deals, but basically what happens, because there's too much, I'm like spending even, you know, less. There's still things I want to get, but I'm gonna wait for that to kind of like slow down, and I think this might help me, because sometimes all I need is some time for it to develop a habit. So I feel like I just need a lot of time for me to develop like this habit of not buying as many sweets, because that is also something that, you know, like I'm young, so I can do this, but you know, I have to create this habit of like eating less sweets, moving on, because I won't have this health forever. And also 30 is getting increasingly closer. I don't know if I want to make it to then, or if I will, you know, like it's not my time to answer this, but you know, I don't know, because I honestly I have given up hope that I'm gonna get to like a properly stable place, because everything that happens is like I have like 1, 2, sometimes 3 weeks where like I'm kind of stable. Honestly, 3 weeks is already like a lot. We usually get 1 or 2 weeks, and then we're back to instability. And you know, the idea, I think like my parents and my doctor, they're confident that, you know, this time around like this is going to happen, but I've been confident so many times before and it led to nothing. So like I've given up hope. I don't no longer create expectations. But yeah, that's that for this video. So I'm in a really good place right now. I do worry that, you know, like I'm going up, because when I get up, sometimes it feels great, but you know, I am unstable and I'm making bad choices. Not only bad, but like unhealthy and dangerous, you know, like risky. I won't say dangerous, because as I said, I'm mostly accompanied by people, and that kind of like helps reduce the risk. But you know, like thinking about the past, for example 2021, so much risk, and for what? Like once again, like everything's fine, like I turn out okay, so I don't really regret any of those choices, because basically like those choices, those things that happen, pretty much what led to us kind of like fully understanding, you know, how, you know, my bipolar works. So yeah, that's it for now. Bye.